the last 2 episodes of Exploring Yards, we talked about photographing artwork. And the first one, it was about photographing just the basics, getting the camera settings down if you have a camera, understanding some of the things that you would need to photograph your stuff. And in the second part, we photographed some artwork that is a little bit tricky, such as a piece that is already framed, and also one of my resin pieces of artwork, because you have that reflectiveness that you have to worry about when photographing. And this episode, I'm going to show you all how to finally Photoshop it all, and then the 3-part series will be done. I know you've both been waiting for it for a while, but it is finally here, and this will be the last one, and then we'll move on to some other topics. So let's get right into it. The first thing that we're going to do once we have Photoshop open is that we're going to bring down some reference lines to the furthest point of the painting. This is going to help us have something to refer to straighten out the image. Once we have our 4 reference lines drawn down, we're going to go ahead and crop the image down to that point so that we have a little bit less white space that we have to deal with. Following that, we're going to use a command called Free Transformation. To get that, you're going to click Command T. What this does is allows you to control individual points or the image as a whole and stretch it however you desire. For this, we're going to use it in order to get rid of the excess white space that we see. And to do this, we're going to grab each individual corner and we're going to just go ahead and stretch it out until we don't see that foam board anymore. And once we are happy with that, we're going to go ahead and crop the image again. Once we have it cropped, we're going to go ahead and resize the image to the actual size that the artwork is. This is so that the image is accurately proportionate. Next, we're going to go into adjusting the color. You're going to need a sheet of paper so you can write down each and every single setting that you put for the exposure, the brightness and the contrast, and also the vibrance, because these are the same settings you're going to be using for the detailed image as well. Since we shot these images at a low exposure so that we wouldn't get a lot of glares, and also because the image is dark, we're going to adjust the exposure here in Photoshop and bring back some of that brightness to it. Then we're going to also play around with the offset and the gamma correction to even out the color. Following that, we're going to go in and adjust the brightness and the contrast, because what happens is when you adjust the exposure, you bring in a little bit more brightness than what might be needed, and also adjusting the offset and gamma, you might end up losing some of that contrast in the image, and we're just going to bring that back. If needed, you might end up having to go back to adjust the exposure. Sometimes that's the case, but remember to write it down. Following that, I go in and adjust the vibrance. Under the vibrance setting, I adjust the saturation because the image came out a bit neon-like. And these are going to be the 3 color changing settings that you're going to be doing throughout all the images. So once we're done with the main image, we're going to go ahead and apply all those settings to the detailed image as well. I go back and I check between the 2 to make sure that they accurately look the same between one another, and also I have my painting next to me to make sure that what I see on the screen is similar to what I have in front of me. For the next piece of artwork, which is this resin artwork, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to bring down our reference lines from the ruler, and we're going to straighten out the image, adjust the exposure, the brightness and the contrast, and also the vibrance if needed. And we're going to make sure we write this down so that we can apply it to the detailed image as well. In the detailed image, I'm going to show you a little trick about fixing the background. I was not very happy with the contrast between the white of the foam board and the space that the image was taking up, so I needed to add a little bit more of the white. In this case, I'm going to be using the clone tool and the spot healing tool in order to create this solution. What the clone tool does, it allows me to use a different part of the image to paint with. So essentially it's copying and pasting, but a little bit more complex. So to do that, you click Alt and you click the space that you want to copy, and then you just go ahead and paint with it. Then I go back and I use the spot healing brush to even out the tones and make everything look cohesive, and also to get rid of any slight blemishes as well. So moving on to the last image, which is our framed artwork. With this one, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. We're also going to be focusing on the artwork in the frame as well, because the frame needs to be proportionate on all 4 sides. When you are adjusting the exposure, the brightness, and the contrast, and the vibrance, be sure to write it down again so that you can also apply this to the detailed image as well. And the detailed image, again, I was not very happy with the background. It came out a little bit more yellow. So a quick tip to things like this, if you need to just solely the background, can go ahead and click the polygon lasso tool, outline the artwork, go up and click select inverse, and what this allows you to do is change the background individually because that is what is selected at the moment. So I go in and adjust the exposure, the brightness, and contrast, but I ended up settling on just making the background black and white. All you would need to do is go up to image, adjustments, and select black and white out of the menu options. And this just pretty much makes everything black and white. Lastly, I make some minor adjustments to the gap that I see here in between the foam boards, and I just check to make sure the images are correct in color, and I just go ahead and save. Hopefully you all learned a lot from this as well on how to get some really good images from the last videos, and also how to Photoshop them really quickly so that you can have some beautiful images for social media to send out to people who are interested in your artwork, or either just to have up on your website or portfolio. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can know about the next video that's coming out. We'll be moving on to another topic in the next one that you won't want to miss. See you then.